Hey, this is Chris doing the edit here on the podcast, and for some reason my microphone, my audio sounded kind of not good this episode, and I don't quite know why. So I apologize about that, but there's nothing I've been able to do to fix it. So yeah, sorry about that, and I hope you enjoy regardless, and hopefully next episode it'll be back to normal.
Welcome to the Crash Station Podcast, your gaming podcast all about weird, unknown, and forgotten video games. I am your host, Chris, here with my co-host, Max.
Hi, Chris. In our friend circles, we're known to play mostly trashy games. We're talking anime games, retro games you've never heard of, the indie stuff on itch.io, and everything in between.
And as usual, we'll add those games on a tier list that we call the Landfill, chat about our creative hobbies, and shout out some of our favorite content creators on the internet. And Max, we have some games to talk about, and I know some of our friends are really looking forward to me talking about one game in particular.
Oh,
But I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
I'm
I
not
know
gonna
which
talk
one.
about it. Yeah, I know you know
Just
which
yet.
one, but I'm not gonna talk about it just yet.
Okay.
We're gonna let that slide for just a little while. I want to start with a game that I really fucking hated, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay.
This is Immortals: Phoenix Rising. Have you seen anything about this game before?
I've just seen some footage, heard people talk about it. It's basically Ubisoft doing Breath of the Wild.
That is
Like,
exactly what it
from a
is.
glance. At a glance, that's what it is.
It is Ubisoft doing Breath of the Wild, and man, I did not have fun playing this. I played it for about 3 to 4 hours, because I had always heard like everyone say good things about it, that it was a lot of fun, that it was basically just Breath of the Wild again. And if you like Breath of the Wild, you were gonna like this game. I like Breath of the Wild. I thought Breath of the Wild was a pretty fun game. It was the game that I bought with my Wii U when I bought the Wii U from a friend
Ooh,
of mine.
all right.
So I never bought a Switch. I never got around to buying a Switch. So I played Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. I played it some on the handheld tablet thing. I played some on screen. I enjoyed that game. I thought it was fun. Immortals: Phoenix Rising is not fun. Um, the combat in this game is like floaty and doesn't really feel good. Like all of your attacks just kind of feel like you're sliding around. The enemies are boring. I don't know how they made a game. So the game is set in like ancient Greece,
Mhm.
and the setup for it is that like Zeus comes down and he's talking with I think it's Prometheus. Prometheus is the one that was like chained to a rock and had his livery and every day.
Mhm.
Um, so Zeus is talking to him, and like Prometheus is this storyteller, and he's telling the story of Phoenix, your character, and how like she's supposed to be this almighty savior. Uh, and you meet Phoenix, and she's like, "I'm not the savior of anybody. I'm just like this random person. I'm not a hero. Like my brother's the hero."
Mhm.
And you get shipwrecked, and you get set onto this island, and you have to like try and find some stuff. And this is like your main tutorial island where it gives you your primary abilities. And you have similar things where like you can pick up objects, like in it exactly like in Breath of the Wild, where like you have the it's like magnetically being held over your head, and then you can throw them or set them down.
Mhm.
So you get that, you get your weapon, you get some special abilities, or like some different types of attacks, and it just none of it feels good. None of it feels fun. Uh, and like I do enjoy the Ubisoft open world games, like
Mhm.
the Far Cry games that I've played, or Far Cry game that I've played, because I've only played one of them so far. I've really enjoyed. I like the Assassin's Creed games that I've played, I think those games are fun. I have problems with them. But I like in those games where like when you get up to a tower, it populates the map with all of the little objectives for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great because it tells me exactly where I need to go for all of my little side quests and little bullshit that I need to pick up. In Immortals Phoenix Rising, I think they took that a lot of people criticize that about Ubisoft games. And I
Yep.
think they took that criticism to heart with Immortals because when you get up to the top of a tower, you have to like scan the horizon and find points and then mark them on your map that way.
Mm-hmm.
So all of those individual points of like a treasure chest that would normally be marked at just by finding the tower, you have to like point your cursor at it and then hit X over it. So you have to scan the horizon to try and find anything interesting. But while you're doing that, you can see something pop up and you might move slightly past it and then you won't be able to click on it. So then you try and slide back and your cursor moves too fast and it slides past it again. And then it slides past it again and then it slides past it again. And it's just like, just let me click on the damn thing.
They're just doing this the Ubisoft thing, but with an extra step.
Exactly. That is exactly what they're doing. And then I have a problem with the map also. So like you can place pins down on the map to mark like specific locations that you want to like make sure that you come back to. Like they're not necessarily things that are like an objective marker that you need to mark. But you know, you can just like put pins on a map in most open world games, right? Well, normally you would want to put a pin on the map directly on top of where your character is because that's the locate you find something there, but you can't access that point yet.
Mhm.
So I find like a puzzle, I don't have the solution to that puzzle, so I want to place a pin on the map directly where my character is. Well, it won't let me place it directly on top of my character. And to get it away from my character means that I'm placing the pin in the game like 50 meters away, which is like 30 seconds worth of walking away, which
Mhm.
means it's not where I want it to be.
Yeah.
It's in a completely different location from where I want it to be. So I would have to walk away from the spot on the map and then open the map back up and place it back on the place a marker on the map in the spot that I want the marker to be. It's just little illogical things like that. And then there's narration in this game because like I said,
Mhm.
it's being told like as a story from Prometheus, and he's just talking. Like him and Zeus are talking and
Yeah.
quipping the entire time. And she's like, will you fuckers just shut up? And they're doing a really bad accent too. Like every character has like this weird mix of like a Scottish or British accent, but it sounds like an American trying to do a Scottish accent. And
Uh,
they just sound bad. I did not like this game at all,
yeah,
Max. I did
that's
not
what
like
I'm
this game.
getting. And since it's an open world, it's supposed to be like a 60-hour game, something, 30-hour game.
Probably like 30.
Yeah. And you
So it
spent
took
4.
yeah, I spent about 3 to 4 hours getting through the like primary tutorial island and then getting out into the actual open world. I spent a little bit of time out in the open world and I was like, I'm not really having fun with this. Maybe it's just like today I'm not having a good time with it. So I shut it off. I didn't think about it for a couple of days. I came back and loaded the game up. I just looked out on the horizon from where my character was standing and I was just like, no, I'm not doing
Not
this. So
happening.
no. I turned the game back off. I uninstalled it from my PS4. I put the disc in my sell pile of video games, and
Mhm.
it's gonna go to a store and I'm gonna get like 50 cents for it because people buy physical copies for like $5. That's what they sell
Yeah.
for around here whenever I see them. So I'm gonna get nothing back for this game. Uh, and I don't care. I don't want it in my collection. I don't want to ever see this game again. I'm never going to touch this game again. It can go right in the fucking trash. I do not like Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Wow. What a start. Well, it's sad that you didn't like it, but at least you didn't lose too much time or too much money.
Yes.
You tried
Yeah,
it. It
definitely.
wasn't for you.
Yep. So I'm gonna probably play a Far Cry game at some point in the near future.
Awesome. On my end, I could also talk about a game that I did not like very much.
Okay.
It's Superliminal.
All
Did you
right.
see? Did you try it? Did you? See, I think you saw it go through the Discord
Yeah,
in
I
the
saw
past.
it go through the Discord. This is a game that I've always been interested in, and like I've seen it for sale on the PlayStation Store
Mhm,
multiple times. I think it's been on my PlayStation wish list before, but I've never picked it up.
mhm.
I know the core
So
concept of it though.
yeah, so the core concept, if anybody doesn't know, it's basically like a Portal game, but the gimmick is that whenever you see something, you can pick it up, and the size that this object has in your vision becomes its real size. So if you put up an apple, go far away, pick up the apple again, it's going to be tiny. But if you just go up to a wall and then make it really big in your vision and then let it go, then it become a really big apple. And that's I like puzzle games. I like first person puzzle games, and that's what I thought I was getting with Superliminal. I thought I was getting like a pretty challenging, perfect perspective bending puzzle game like Portal, but with with the that size mechanic. But that's not really what Superliminal is. Superliminal is a lot closer to a walking sim with easy puzzles put it in some rooms to continue the story.
I always thought it
So
was a puzzle game.
yeah, it's not really a puzzle game. Like there are puzzles, but what those puzzles boil down to are mostly walk to a room, find a single thing you can interact with, pick it up, make it big or make it small, and then go to the next puzzle. Every puzzle is just that you cannot just like with the with the portal gun, you have those zones, and you know, okay, I can shoot here, and then you need to find the other zone to shoot there. But that's not the end of the puzzle. The puzzle is not just finding those walls. Then you have to go through the wall, shoot another portal, and then jump and do some physics jumping and stuff. So it's a lot more involved. There are multiple steps. But in this game, it's always like one step: find the thing, change the size, go to the door, and that's only like the first third of the game. Like once you finish like that first section that's really inspired by Portal, there's like a robot voice that gives you instructions. Basically the game takes place in a dream. So you went to a company and that company made you fall asleep, and then you do those puzzles in a dream, and that's like the experience that you paid for. You're supposed to get something out of that. And once you get to the end of the first act, then you wake up, but there was a problem. You still wake up in the dream, and then the game. That's like the point where the game should become more challenging, but instead it kind of changes the rules a little bit. There are sections where the floor is not really the floor, and then you need to figure out other rules than just the perspective changing mechanic, and those are also pretty easy. It's just like they're showing you more things and more stuff, but you're basically just walking from room to room, listening to the narrator, and doing that for a couple hours. And honestly, I was getting pretty fed up by the end. I was like, just freaking, because it kinds of become like a looping game. So you do a section and then you wake up again in your room and you're like, oh, is this the last time that I'm doing this? No, you still have to go through another round of dreams. And once you get at the end of that, it becomes a bit weird. You wake up again and then you just do that over and over with the narration that I still didn't care. Like, you just repeat the same thing over and over. Oh, there was a problem. We cannot make you wake up. Please continue what you're doing. It's always that. They're just repeating the same things over and over. And by the end, I was like, "Oh, will this just end? I'm so tired of walking around and fighting the thing to make big." That's all I was doing. So yeah, that was my experience with Superliminal. I know that some of our friends really liked it, and
Yeah.
I guess they weren't expecting that like heavy puzzle element that Portal gave. But that's what I was expecting, and that's not what I got.
Was there narration through the entire game, or was it just like a narrator talking when you woke up?
No, there was there were like radios at key points in the game. So in each level, there were a couple of those radios with some narration.
Okay.
So throughout the game, you often hear someone talk. It's not just like once every 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I I wonder, um, how many games have you played that have a narrator that you actually like? Because I can only think of I can think of 2 games that I've played that had a narrator that I enjoyed. One of them was Thomas Was Alone,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I think they did the narration really well in that game.
Yeah.
Um, and also a game that I thought was just pretty okay, but I still enjoyed my time with was Biomutant. It's a
Oh, I did
big
not play
open
that.
world.
Okay.
It's a big open world Ubisoft style game, except you play as a
Okay.
weird rat creature, or
Mm-hmm.
a raccoon type creature. It's a perfectly serviceable game. It has problems, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I I find that narration in games is usually just annoying.
Yeah.
Do you kind of feel the same?
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the time, like on the top of my head, Portal and Portal 2, I thought those had the right level of like information, and
Mhm.
it's also pretty funny, especially in the second one. I
Yeah,
thought the
Portal 2 is
narrator
great.
was really funny in Portal 2. And some games are really built around it, like the Stanley Parable. Like that, you couldn't make that game without a narrator. It's part of the experience.
I've not
But
played that yet. I should probably get around to that one. That one's really well regarded.
yeah, it's fun, and like you're doing those loops over and over again, trying to find all the endings, but those loops aren't really long. And like I said, that was the core mechanic of the game. Like what I felt when I played Superliminal was it was a cheap version of Portal and a cheap version of Stanley Parable mixed together. Like it tried to do both of those things at the same time without hitting the high points of those two games that I had played beforehand. So I had like really high points of comparison.
All right. Well, where would you like to put it on the tier list?
I think I'm gonna be a bit harsh and put it in almost trash because if I wasn't playing this game for the polykill bingo to get my beat at the same time of like three other people, I think I would have turned it off like after 2 hours. I was not having fun for my for like the second half. I was really bored and I was like, okay, this has to end. It's I'm not feeling it.
That's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I have other first person puzzlers that I have still not yet played, so that wasn't the one for me for this year, but I should find a better one sometime in 2025.
Yeah. Well, I have another game that I wish I liked more
Okay.
than I did. And it's the second one here on my list. It's called Tire Friend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I found this game. I think this is another game that I found on Reddit. Uh,
Okay.
and it's currently in early access. So make of that of what you will, but it is essentially a 3D collectathon platformer where you play as a tire. So there's a lot of like momentum based stuff in it, which all of that is pretty cool. I want to get straight to what I find very strange and about this game and why I'm not going to continue playing it for right now while
Oh,
it's in early access. And
okay.
that's because I am playing this game on the the lowest settings possible. And this game looks like a PS2 game. Like it's fairly low
Mhm.
poly, not like super high graphically intensive or anything. And I keep getting notifications from my computer that I'm maxing out my GPU while playing this little indie game.
Ouch. Okay, yeah.
Uh, so based on that alone, and like I just bought this new gaming PC like
Mhm.
late last year. Like I'm running on a 4060. Like it's a good graphics card. It's not that old. This little indie game should not be maxing out that graphics card. Like I don't understand what is happening with this fucking game.
Yeah.
Uh so until that gets fixed, I cannot recommend playing this. But I wish I could because so you play as this tire
Mhm.
and you're going around and you're collecting valve stem caps as your primary collectible, and you don't have to collect all of them in each level. Um, but it's a collectathon, so there are a bunch of them in each level, and each level also has like these gears that are they're essentially like the stars in Mario, except you don't like leave the level after you collect them, but they're like the primary collectible that you're trying to collect to be able to move on to the next level. And so you go through these fairly linear but slightly open levels where essentially uh it's kind of like Mario 3D World on the DS or 3DS, where like it is a 3D platformer, but the levels are like what's the way to describe that? Like in straight lines and very kind of linear. Um, and like I find the gameplay really fun because so you are this tire and like the faster you move and the longer you move in a certain direction builds up your momentum and allows you to jump farther or like break through walls and things like that. And I find all of that really cool. And you have like a brake button so you can just stop on the fly. There's a lot of like moving platforms and stuff. And while if you're on a moving platform because you're a tire, you'll like roll backwards. So you have to kind of like make sure that you're not falling off the platform. So which can be kind of difficult when it's like a small platform and you have that like momentum based rolling at the same time. You have a double jump. So like the platforming in this game feels good. The levels feel good to play. It's just why is this indie game that I'm playing at 1080p maxing out my GPU? Like, I just don't
Yeah.
understand. Um,
Are you
so
familiar with the tire transformation in the Kirby games?
yes, kind of. Um,
Yeah, I really like that tire mechanic, and I was wondering if it was anything close to that experience.
what which Kirby? I'm trying to remember. Um,
Yeah, the one I'm thinking about is the one on the Super Nintendo, Kirby Superstar. I know it's in that one, but yeah, the tire transformation. I think it's in a couple of games.
I I know what you're talking about. I don't remember. Yeah, I never did play the Kirby game that was on Super Nintendo, which is weird because like I like Kirby and I like the Super Nintendo. I just never ended up buying that one for whatever reason. Probably get
Oh, it's
around to
also
that.
on the NES, so it's like a staple
Yeah.
transformation,
Um, it's kind of like that, I guess.
but with a bit more control.
A little bit more control. Because if I remember correctly, with that transformation in Kirby, you can't really stop yourself very easily.
No, exactly. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
go from left to right, but if you want to stop, you need to stop the transformation.
Yeah, so I no, I would say it's not quite like that because
Okay,
you
okay,
you have a lot more control over your speed. Like you if you just let go of the analog stick, you'll come to a stop.
okay, okay,
Um
okay.
so yeah, it's yeah, no, not quite like that. I don't know. Like the game is fun. Um, but in its current state, in early access, I would have to put it in almost trash.
Yeah.
And
If it's about to break your computer, that's not good.
yeah, no, not good. Hopefully they fix that. I've not said anything about that on the Steam page, so I probably should. I probably should reach out
Yeah.
to them because it is an early. I think it's being made by one guy also.
Yeah.
So I probably should say something and be like, "Hey, I was playing this. This is what happened. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe this is something that you should look into, and hopefully they do fix it. And there's like a whole other section of the game that's currently blocked off that they got a sign up that says it, early access. All this will be available later.
Mhm.
And they've been
Yeah,
making updates to it, so
it's a shame. It looks really fun. It really looks like my kind of jam. So
yeah,
I will keep an eye out on it because I'm really interested.
yeah. I hopefully I will bring this back by like the end of the year and have a better review for it because what I played of it was fun.
Cool. Let's hope. Let's
But
hope.
our games can only go up from here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All my other games are pretty much all positive experiences.
Cool.
And I did play a 3D platformer also in the last 2 weeks. It's called Pru the Pigeon.
Okay.
It's an indie game 3D platformer that that funny story. When I bought this game when I bought a single other game. I went to check like the price that I had paid to see if it would fit on the bingo. If it was under $1, it wasn't. It was a bit more expensive than that. It was like $2. But anyway, on that day, I bought two games: Pru the Pigeon and Dark Souls.
Nice.
So that's my kind of mood. Everything there's no in between. Either the cute little pigeon or the most brutal game ever. So for the pigeon, it's a 3D platformer. It's a bit like Mario 3D World in the sense that you go into levels and those levels are linear, and in those levels you have to find collectibles, but they're not really important. You just have to reach the end, but you for an extra challenge, you can try to find the collectibles, and the collectibles are hot dogs. Why? I don't know. It's hot dogs.
Yeah,
um,
sure.
the pigeon is 2D, so you're playing like as a 2D sprite in a 3D environment. I think that's a fairly popular technique in the last few years, and it works really well with the shadow. I never found that I was missing any jumps, and the pigeon has a really simple move set. You can jump, you can dive like Mario Odyssey, and you can also do a long jump, and you can chain those together to go fairly fast. That's that's mostly the move set of the pigeon. You can also glide down for a couple seconds because you're a little pigeon, and you can fart. Why? I don't know. I don't.
Yes, you can.
He had one more button, and it was like, "What do I do with the button?" And he decided that let's make the pigeon fart. What was fairly impressive was that there's 15 levels in the game, and there's like 12 different biomes. Like each level has its own theme, except for a couple repeats, and that was that's like a super simple game made by like a couple people, but every level we were going there, they had a new theme, a new music, a couple new enemies. So that was really impressive. And I say we because I played that with my brother. We passed the controller along, so we did one level, and we basically beat the whole game in one evening. It's not a long game. I think it took us like 2 hours, but
Oh,
that
nice.
was 2 great hours. And we had one really funny interaction where there were in the hub. It's a little city, and there are hot dogs to find in that city to complete the game 100%. and there was a pigeon on the bench with a hot dog, and my brother was like, "Hey, I want your hot dog," and the pigeon didn't want to give the hot dog to us, so it just jumped on the pigeon and farted on him. It's like, "Oh, give me your hot dog," and that was actually the solution. We
Nice.
had to fart on the pigeon to get the hot dog. So that was extremely funny. Yeah. So you do all those 15 levels. There's an end boss that's all right. It's a 3D platform boss. It was just hard enough. And after that, if you found every hot dog, you can then do the post game, which is I think 2 levels, 1 level. Yeah, 2 levels. One remix of the final boss and a Champions Road kind of level. So a really challenging platforming level, so where you have to dive in the middle of nothing to jump on springs to then dive on another spring. That one we couldn't finish it before my brother left, but the next day I think it took me another hour, but I managed to beat the Champions Roads level, and that was really tough. That was really fun. I like a challenging level, but like for a one-off to finish the game, that was extremely fun. And yeah, one more thing I could say is that visually the game looks like a bit like Saturn level of graphics. So it's all fairly low poly with like pixelated textures, and it looks really great. It's that style. It's not fully low poly. It's low poly with pixelated textures. Looks good, and with my brother we used a software called Shader Glass, where you can run shaders over your whole screen. So we put like a old CRT shader over the whole screen, and it really felt like we were playing an old game on an old
Nice.
CRT. Yeah. So that worked really well for that game. I would recommend just picking up Shader Glass and having fun with it, and with depending on the game. But this one, it really elevated the experience. It really made it feel like an old 3D platformer from that era.
Excellent.
So,
Where would you
any
like to?
questions before I put it on the tier list? Because I did have a great time. It was a really fun game.
No, I have no questions. I while you were talking, I added this to my Steam wish list, and yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, it's $3,
yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm gonna buy this
And
game.
it's a sequel. It's a sequel to another game called Gwen the Hen 64, which is also like $3. So, I will surely play that uh a bit later in the year.
I just added that to my wish list also. Just
Yeah.
as you said the name, I just typed that shit in real quick.
And
It looks like more of the same. Like
yeah,
the
it's more of
video
the
looks
same,
like,
but
yeah.
instead of a pigeon, it's a chicken. But don't if it ain't broken, don't fix it, like they
Mhm.
say. And I think for $3, I can put it in absolute banger. It's maybe a bit high, but I really had a great time. I wasn't expecting much. I was expecting a little silly 3D platformer, and I got that, and I got even more. So yeah, go play it if you like 3D platformers. You will love this game, I'm sure.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm going to play this game for sure. When? Who knows?
Yeah,
But
Pru the
it'll
Pigeon.
Pru the Pigeon. It looks good. I have a game that I really loved playing, and you may have seen this on YouTube if you're on YouTube quite a bit. It's a game about digging a hole. A lot of people have been doing videos about this game.
Okay. No, I think I've only heard you talk about it.
Okay. Um, I I don't think I think I saw this game on Steam before I started seeing people like posting videos about it. And when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to love this game because I know what kind of gamer I am." And this is just like a weird little kind of simulation game about digging a hole. So you start the game, and there's this little cutscene where like you buy this house where there it says that there's buried treasure in the backyard, and so you buy the house, and the only thing that you can do is dig a hole into your yard. There's a big red X on the yard, and you need to start digging. And you have this little tiny like gardener shovel to start with. So you start digging, and you just make like little, little tiny holes into the dirt. And it's kind of weird physics based the way that like the shovel interacts with the dirt. Like it digs out like very specific points. Um, but so you start digging and you start finding like different ores in the ground. So you start finding like rocks and um, like what else is at the top? I think you find copper near the top also.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you find these ores, you fill up your backpack, and then you go inside your house. You go to your computer, you sell those things, you make a little bit of money, and then you have an upgrade bench. And
Mm-hmm.
when you and you have to buy upgrades, and the upgrades are like um, a larger battery life for your shovel. Apparently, your little
Mm-hmm.
manual shovel has a battery, which is essentially just your stamina bar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's kind of funny. Um, and then you have like you can increase the capacity of your backpack, increase the size of your shovel, and you can buy a jetpack, which you'll need later in the game. Um, and they all start out pretty cheap. Like you sell rocks for $1, and each of your upgrades are like $25. So you have to dig a hole enough to find enough of these things to sell, to then upgrade, and then you are able to dig faster and dig deeper to find more ores that are worth more money to then sell and then buy more upgrades. And you're trying to find your way to the bottom. Uh, and that's it. That's the entire core conceit of this game is digging a hole, buying stuff, or digging up these ores, selling them,
Mm-hmm.
and then continuing to dig more.
It
Uh,
sounds like a first-person
oh
video game.
yeah, it is 100% first person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you dig deep and you keep finding all these ores, and as you dig deeper, the ores are worth more money. You find like iron, and then you find like silver and copper and glass. And then the deeper that you dig, you find like diamonds and platinum, and these are all worth more and more money. But your upgrades also cost more and more money so it kind of scales with you. And yeah, that's the game. It takes like 2 hours. You need to dig to the bottom.
Okay.
It's I don't know if I want to. I'm not going to say what happens when you get to the bottom because there is kind of another thing that you have to do once you get down there, um, which I thought was really fun. But yeah, it's a game about digging a hole, and you dig a hole, and it's a lot of fun. I like dumb stuff like this. Takes you like 2 hours to dig to the bottom. And the current speed run world record, I think, is like 9 minutes or something like that. It's something
Wow.
crazy.
Nice.
Um, might be 18 minutes. I might be wrong about that, but it's great. And then once you beat the game, it unlocks a secondary achievement mode where you have to dig up some additional stuff. And I've been kind of slowly grinding on that. Also, I've still been
Okay
playing
then.
this after I beat it.
Cool.
Um, I love this game. It's
Mm-hmm.
$5. It was made by I don't I it might have been a single dev. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
think
didn't.
so. It's on its Steam page. It says, "I'm Ben, and I created this game in my spare time." So thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. You made an absolute banger.
Wow.
I love this game. This is going to be one of my favorite games that I played this year.
You're intriguing me. I feel like I have to give it a shot now.
You should. It's great. This is this is right up my alley. It scratches that same itch as playing like Gas Station Simulator did, where it's just dumb fun and
Yeah,
just repeat the task and just have a
the
good time
objective
with
is
it.
simple,
Hmm.
and you're not fighting against the controls or anything. You're just digging a hole. And
Yep.
you said you needed a jetpack. Is there any fail state, or just that it would be longer to go back to the top?
So you do have health, um, and so like you can fall and damage yourself. And then there's also these like lava rocks that
Okay.
you find deeper down, and if you touch those, they'll slowly drain your health. The couple things I didn't mention, you can buy sticks of dynamite, and those sticks of dynamite allow you to destroy rocks that are underground,
Okay.
both those lava rocks and these other rocks, and like so normally you can't just dig around those, and they'll kind of get
Mhm.
in your way while you're trying to dig down. So you can blow them up with the dynamite, and then you can also buy lights to help you see down in the
Okay.
hole. So like if you don't dig, you can dig straight down if you want to, but you'll need the jetpack to be able to get back up.
Mhm.
Um, so if you fall too far, you'll lose all your health and you'll die, but then you'll respawn back in the house and you'll just lose all the ore that you have
Okay. Okay. Okay.
in your backpack.
You're just
And
losing a
if
bit of
you're
progress.
yeah, you're just losing a little bit of progress. And if your shovel runs out of its battery, you'll also enter that same fail state. You'll lose all the ore that's in your backpack, and you'll just respawn back at the top.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um, so you do need the jetpack to be able to get back up out of the hole, unless you like dig specifically to, um, be able to walk back out. But like it's a lot easier to just kind of like dig down
Mhm.
and then kind of spread out. And you can find extra treasures and stuff. Like there's like a what's it called? It's like a metal detector that pops up every once in a while, and it'll be like, oh,
Mhm.
there's a treasure somewhere in nearby, and then you have to just dig around, and it'll give you like a signal and dig towards
Yeah.
the treasure.
Cool. 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 So a game about digging a hole. Another absolute banger.
Yep, great game. Better than a great game.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna continue the trend with a rebeat that I've done like 3 weeks ago before our last episode with Pam, which is Katana Zero. I know that you did not have a great time with Katana Zero because of some shaking shader or something, but
Yeah, I don't remember what it was exactly.
yeah, you said there was like shaking and pixels and lines that were giving you a headache in the
Oh, right.
beginning.
Yeah. I
So
remember
I
now.
I played the Apple Arcade version on my iPhone with a controller because that game is way too precise to play with. You can actually play with touch controls, but the game gets too precise at the near the end of the game to actually do that. So I played the controller, and Katana Zero was one of my favorite beats of 2024. I discovered that game last year and absolutely loved it. And for again the Polykill Bingo with some friends, we decided that this was going to be a game that everyone would beat in that 2 week span for one of the bingo squares. But I think only two people ended up beating the game. Most people didn't like it. Didn't they fell off? I don't know why. I love that game. So in Katana Zero, it's a bit like Hotline Miami, but in platforming experience. So it's side scrolling, 2D ninja game. So you have a katana and you have the power to slow down time, and it's level based. So in every level, you have to kill everybody before going to the next level. And how you do that is that you can jump, you can dash, you can roll, and you can kill everybody with your katana, but you can also slow down time to reflect bullets through to the various enemies. And on top of that, between every level, there's a story about the government doing experiments on you, and you're a drug addict, and you have to play in those cutscenes because you have a lot of choices, text dialogue choices, and those choices are on a timer. So you can cut people off and not let them talk, or you can take your time and choose exactly what you want. And I don't know, I don't think it really affects much in the game, but especially for our first playthrough, it does give you some agency, and it does make you feel like you're a part of the story and not just watching those cutscenes go along. You're taking part of the story, even if in the end you will reach the same ending. And yeah, it took me like 2 or 3 hours to replay the game. It if you don't play with, because when you finish the game you can play in speedrun mode, so you don't have to go through those cutscenes. You do only the action levels, and in that mode it takes like only an hour or something. It's a really short game, but I love the vibe. I love the graphics. I love all about the gameplay. Just it feels snappy. It's super satisfying doing some combos by killing everybody on one shot, doing those slow mos, deflecting a bullet, then jumping, cutting the head off of someone else. Man, I love that game, and that was like my fourth beat with my latest beat, and I still loved it. I thought that on that second playthrough, those cutscenes with dialogue options were a bit um, annoying. They were less engaging than in my first playthrough. I wish I hadn't lost my save file and I could have just played the speedrun mode, but that's even that was just mildly annoying. I had great fun throughout my experience once again.
Cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
As I was looking at it, I do remember like it did give me a headache, so I ended up getting a refund on Steam for it, and
yeah,
it's unfortunate because it did seem like it was fun from what I played of it. So
yeah. And like I said, I did play the Apple Arcade version, and I don't think I had those like effects on. I
mhm.
think they revamped it for that re-release, so maybe the Steam version is like cursed or something.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I know I looked in the settings and like I turned off all of the like effects that I could, and it was still just something about it was not working for
hmm
me.
Yeah.
So it is
Oh
what
yeah,
it is.
but
It happens from time to time.
yeah, exactly. But for me, Katana Zero, it's an absolute banger. I really love that game.
Nice. This is a an episode of absolute polar opposites.
Oh yeah, exactly. Nothing in between so far.
um, so next game that I want to talk about is Leap Year. And Max, you
Yeah.
played this also, didn't you?
I'm not done. I have two, because you collect numbers in those games, so I have two numbers left to get.
Okay.
But yeah, I played like 90% of the game so far.
Okay. So Leap Year is essentially what it is it's a puzzle platformer where if you jump and fall the full height of your jump, you die.
Hmm
That's the basic core concept of the game. So essentially what that means is that in any particular room that you're in, and it is room based, so it's kind of like Celeste or a game
hmm
like that in that way where if you die, you just respawn. Oh no, you don't respawn back at the beginning of the room. You have actual checkpoints, don't you? But
Yeah, you have
they're fairly
checkpoints
close.
that can be like 2 or 3 screens apart, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's you don't spawn back very far away from
hmm
where you were, and the map is fairly small. But the core idea is that like if you're on a certain level, you need to jump up to a platform that's higher than you when you land, or find something to break your fall when
hmm
you fall. And there's different ways to do that, and you're trying to collect the numbers 1 through 29 in April. No, February.
February,
February. February. Why did I
because
say April?
it's
Because we're
leap
in.
year.
Yeah, it's leap year.
Exactly.
So uh, when you start the game, you can see the number 29 right there in that opening room, but you can't get it
hmm
yet. You have to play through the rest of the game to be able to get access to it. And or at least that's my understanding. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a Metroidvania except you're not really collecting new abilities. What you're doing is you're learning how your abilities work as you play through the game, and there will be
Yeah.
certain rooms that kind of teach you that if you fall from different distances, different things will actually end up happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, if you normally jump and you fall that like 3 blocks, you'll die. But then if you fall like 5 or 6 blocks, you'll bounce off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So and then if you fall farther than that, you'll like fall through the ground
Yeah. Through the
and
ground.
into like other rooms. And so you access all these other places, and you can do all of those things from the beginning of the game. But you don't know that you can until you
Yeah.
find those particular places where you have to use those abilities, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, now I can go back and you know, maybe try jumping off of this ledge and use that ability to get through
Mm-hmm.
a different area. So
Yeah.
I found
The way
this.
the map is set up, like you wouldn't normally do those high jumps in those first sections because it doesn't really make sense. And since you don't know that something will happen, you don't even try because normally it's like jumping backwards and stuff. So in those first few rooms, so it's really well designed to lead you through those tutorial rooms that will teach you those mechanics.
Yeah, very much so. And yeah, that's the whole game. It only takes about it took me about 2 hours, maybe plus or minus 15 minutes to get through it.
Hmm.
Um, and it plays really well. I mean, it's all pixel graphics. It looks great despite its simplicity. There's no there's no real combat or anything that you have to
No.
deal with. It's
Hmm.
just a puzzle platformer. And I really had a good time with this game. Um,
Yeah,
how are you finding it, Max?
I'm finding it okay.
Yeah?
Like like you said, it took you like about 2 hours. I'm 30 minutes in and I'm almost done. So I think I will beat this game in like 45 minutes. I just have to find number 28 and then reach number 29. So I don't know how long that will take me, but I figure like 15, 20 more minutes and I'm done with the game. So
So
for
I will
like
say,
$5, that's getting pretty short.
yeah, that is a little short for $5. I will agree with that. I will say that like the last bit of the game, um, it that took me like so from number 28 to 29 probably took me like 45 minutes.
Okay, okay,
'Cause you so that last little bit is some a lot more challenging platforming that you have to do,
okay.
and,
But
some
I
of the
already
puzzles
found
were
the lock room. So I don't
okay.
know if that gives me an edge or something, but so
No, so
yeah.
once you get past the you have to get past that lock,
Yeah.
um, to be able to get past. And I don't think you're not able to get past the lock yet, are you?
No, because I don't have number 28.
Okay. Um, so once you get past that lock room, it's just, the shot back to 29, and that's where, like, the actual challenging puzzles
Okay.
start. So
Okay.
at least I thought so. Like, a couple of the puzzles, it took me, like, 5 to 10 minutes to try and figure out what exactly I was supposed to do in some of those rooms.
Okay. Well,
Or
I'm excited.
some of them were a little bit more precise, and it just took me a little while to actually execute on
Hmm.
getting through that bit of platforming. I really enjoyed this game. I would put this in A tier
Hmm.
as a great game. Um, I think you'll probably bring this next episode and
Yeah.
put it on the tier list once you
Yeah. I
finish it.
will have to see how much I get from that, like with that last part. And something that I would like to say about Leap Year is that I, I feel like it was a bit rushed in the
Oh,
sense
really?
that, yeah, like in one of the rooms, there's like four numbers. There's like 9, 10, 11, and 12 in the same room. And to me, that feels like, oh, yeah, we really wanted to do 29 numbers because of leap year, but we didn't get the time to make enough puzzles for all those numbers.
I gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
so I feel like the map should have been a little bit bigger. I feel like it's missing a couple. But like I said, I did not beat it yet. But just the fact that that room in particular had 4 numbers out in the open without any puzzles made me feel that the game was a little bit rushed.
I can see that. I didn't think that when I first accessed that room, but now that you mention it, that is kind of strange because all the other numbers really do require some level of puzzling
Yeah.
or platforming to get to. So yeah, I think it might have been better if they had stretched that out just a little bit more,
Hmm.
moved those numbers into different rooms.
Yeah. But like I said, that's just that's a minor thing. Something that
Yeah.
I've seen with my like developer eyes, I guess.
Right. All right.
All right.
Yeah. So great game.
Yep.
What
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
have for us, Max?
I have another small platformer. Well, it's an arcade game, not really a platformer. It's called Hoppy Hop.
Okay.
And I also played that one with my brother by passing the controller that one night that he was in my home. And Hoppy Up, you play as a little bunny, and it's just a clone of Qbert. There's nothing else. You jump around in some isometric pyramids, and you have to turn all the blocks into the designated colors. And some blocks will require you to jump twice on them. Some blocks will teleport you in other parts of the level, and you have to avoid all the enemies. And once you've cleared the level, you go to the next, and there's like 16 levels, I think, and you've beaten the game. So it's an arcade game with an end state. Once you get at the end, you get an I score. I don't remember my I score, but I think we were like 20 something uh, in the world. But
Oh wow.
I don't know how many people played the game. Oh yeah, I didn't take a screenshot of our leaderboard, but yeah, I think we were like 20 something from everybody who has ever played. So
Well, I know that
there's not
not
a
everybody leaves Steam reviews, but there's only 19 Steam reviews on this game, so I can't imagine it's a large audience for this one.
no, exactly. And there's not a lot to say about this game. It's basically just Qbert. And
Yeah.
I used to play a lot of Qbert 3 on the Super Nintendo, and it's fairly similar to that. You play as Qbert, and there's a bunch of levels, but Qbert 3 is way longer. I think there's like 100 levels or something. It gets really long.
Oh
And
wow.
this one, I like that it was short enough. There's an end state, you get an I score, and you can grind those levels. It's not just about going longer and longer and longer until you die. So I like that there's an end state. And something smart that they do is you have two different kind of controls. So in Qbert, like in Qbert 3, usually if you press down, you will go down left. And if you press right, you go down right. So you kind of have to hold your controller at 45 degrees so you get the right angles because it's an isometric platformer. But with Hoppy Up, you can activate like the main mode of controlling the game is by moving in diagonals. So we were playing with our keyboard. So if you press down and right, then you go down right, and down and left, you go down left. And that made it so much clearer to control this game compared to the traditional keypad input of Qbert. That was a great implementation. I really love that touch. And the game is fairly easy in the sense that, if I remember correctly, you get 3 lives per level. So every time you clear a level, you get your lives back for the next level. So it's really not a challenging arcade game. So, but you get more points if you don't get hit in those levels. So it's more about the point challenge than anything.
Right. Do you get more points for completing a level faster?
Yeah. There's a timer, and the faster you get, the more points you get. Yeah. So
Oh, just
it's
like an
it,
arcade game.
yeah, it's a balance of going fast, not getting it, and beating the game.
All right.
It's
So
it.
where would you like to put it on the tier list?
I think I would also put it in great games. Like
Okay.
like we said last time, maybe it should go between This Is Fine and Great Games. But I like a Qbert game, and I was expecting a cheap knockoff, but I actually got like a great knockoff. So I would put it in great game. It does exactly what it sets out to do. The music is fun. The controls are tight, and all the visual themes for the levels are really good and fun. There's like an synthwave level. I think that's the third world. It's kind of synthwave that looks really cool. And the last level, you get like black background and the blocks turn black, so there's like an additional challenge where that you have to remember where the holes are, because as like the farther you get in those levels, the less blocks you actually see on screen. And I thought that was
Oh,
a neat little touch. Oh yeah, Hoppy
cool.
Hop, great little arcade game, and yeah, just a fun time.
Yeah, it sounds fun if you like Hubert. That was never a game I particularly enjoyed playing. It's tough. I always found Hubert really tough. But I mean,
Yeah,
like I only ever played it on an arcade cabinet, so arcade games are just naturally tough. So
yeah, exactly. This is a really toned down version of Qbert in terms of
cool.
difficulty. Yep.
All right. My final game and the big one that I know
Yeah.
our friends are gonna want me to talk about is Hades.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so everybody knows that I am not a fan of roguelikes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's not like my shtick or anything, but I have never really found every time I see a game that has the roguelike tag attached to it, I always find myself being like, why? Why does it have to have that kind of mechanic? And I've played several, I've played some for the podcast and have generally been pretty down on them.
Mm-hmm.
Hades is like the most famous and probably most popular roguelike. Maybe not the most famous, like Binding of Isaac seems pretty popular.
Yeah.
And then
It's
there's other big ones like FTL.
yeah, but
Um,
it's up there.
it's up there. It's definitely up there, and everyone's been telling me I should try this game. I've had friends in my real life tell me that I should play this game. So I finally it was on sale on the PlayStation Network for like $10. I was like, fine, fuck it. I will try this game and I will see how I feel about playing an actual roguelike. So core concept of Hades is that you are playing as Zagreus and you are trying to escape from the from Hades in Greek mythology. So your dad is the god of the underworld, Hades, and you are trying to escape from his realm. And there's a whole story about like why you're trying to escape from his realm. Like I don't remember if it's said at the beginning of the game like why you're trying to escape for your first escape.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because the first time you end up actually getting out and beating all the bosses, you end up meeting your mother, and then the rest of the times you're trying to escape is all about just like Zagreus is always just like, oh well, I just want to get back to see her again. But I don't remember
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning what his like why he wanted to run away. Like was it just that his dad's kind of an asshole? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know,
No,
Max?
I haven't played 80s, so
Oh yeah, I figured you had. Okay.
no.
Um.
You know, I'm famously not playing popular games. That's
Oh
changing
yeah.
a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. um. So this is a top-down isometric action game. You have a total of 6 weapons that you can choose from. You pick one of those weapons for each of your runs, and then you go into the first room. You get a power up in the first room, and uh, those power ups are randomized every time you play through, and the world is split up into 4 major areas, and you play through. So you'll play through a room. You have to defeat all the enemies in a room. Once you defeat all the enemies in that room, you'll receive another boon, another reward, and that it'll be from one of the gods, or it'll be some form of currency, whether that's one of your currencies that you can only spend on your current run, or a currency that you can spend uh, that stays with you if you die, and you can spend outside of your current run. And those are like gems or keys, um, or like these pomegranates. And then you'll have two doors at the end of most of the rooms, and they'll tell you. I don't think they tell you actually at the beginning. What maybe they do. I don't remember, but they'll tell you uh, like what you will receive, sort of, from the
Okay.
next room. So it'll tell you like it'll either be a symbol of one of the gods because you can get boons from like 8 or 9 different gods, and or it'll be one of those currencies. So you have to at the end of each room you have to make a choice of which one of these two things you think is going to be more worthwhile for your current build.
Okay.
So like my preferred weapon was the spear. It's primarily using longer ranged straight uh straight attacks, because it's a
Mhm.
spear. You're stabbing with it, so you're not sweeping with it. Um that was one of my preferred weapons, and so like if I got boons from one of the gods that enhanced certain abilities from that spear, then I would look for more boons from that particular god, or more boons that would uh, like stack well with the boons
Mhm.
that I already had. And so like that's where some of these decision points come in, where it's like, well, do I want to get do I want to get a boon from Zeus in my next room? Uh, one of his like 20 random boons,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
do I
yeah.
want to get a boon from uh, what was one of the other ones? Like the goddess of love. Uh, I don't remember her name.
Uh,
So I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm sorry. But one of the other gods. Let's say Poseidon. So like I would have a choice between getting a boon from Poseidon or a boon from Zeus, and then I go into that next room, defeat all the enemies, and then once I defeat all the enemies, I receive one of those, and it'll be a list of 3 random boons that you can get.
mhm.
And the combat in this game is really, really fun. All the weapons feel great to use. I used all of them. So you have a sword, a spear, a shield, like these gauntlets, uh, which were really fun because they're just like a bunch of close range, fast attacks. So I found that really fun. You have like a gun and a bow, and each
Okay.
one of the weapons feels very different and feels very unique. And also, each weapon felt like it took boons from particular gods better. And that's kind of where my problems come in with this game, is that there would be times where I would be playing through a run, and like I would get my first boon from whichever god, and be like, oh well, that's really good. Once I had played a few and like started to understand what the boons were and like what kind of boons I would be getting from which gods, I started to get that understanding of like, well, I got this boon at the beginning from Poseidon, and that would pair really well with like like boons from Zeus. But
Mhm.
then I would never find any boons from Zeus through the
Yeah.
rest of my run. And it's those things that I find frustrating about every roguelike. And I think the combat in this game made me like playing this one a little bit more because the weapons were so fun to use. Um I I really wish this game wasn't a roguelike. Like I would love this game so much more if it was just a level based game where I was able to
Mhm.
choose which abilities I wanted to use.
Yeah.
And like I know that it goes against the core conceit of like you're trying to escape from Hades, and every time you die you come back to Hades, and like there's a whole story with that, and like once you reach the surface and you reach your mother, you can't survive on the surface for whatever reason because you were born in the underworld. So apparently you can't live in the world of the mortals. It just kills you if you're there for too long, so you're there for like 5 minutes then you die. Um and then you go back to the underworld and you have to start over again.
Mhm.
So like they tie in the roguelike elements into the story really well. I like all of that. But like I had a run where I got through the first boss, but I had taken a bunch of damage and I needed to heal. And I found no healing items for
Ah.
like
Mm.
the basically the rest of my run until I died. I found none of one of the gods, the goddess of love. One of her boons will like, or no, not from her. One of the items that you can find within the dungeon as you're trying to escape is an item that will increase your maximum health, and it'll give you an additional 25 health
Okay.
for that run. I found no more of those from the time that I got damaged to the point where I really needed to heal. I found none of the like pools to be able to heal my health fully. I found like no enemies were dropping healing items. I found you can buy so you get coins that you can spend in your run, and there's shops that you can find to spend those coins at. And I would go to every one of those shops that I could find, no healing items. At any of those shops, no additional help at any of those shops. And it was just that is so fucking frustrating for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
It
so
doesn't seem like it's your fault that you lost that one.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't feel like it was my fault. It felt like it was because I did not find the random item that I needed that I lost. Um,
Yeah.
so you have 4 different dungeons as you get through and beat the boss of each of the dungeons. All 4 of the bosses are really well designed. I really enjoyed fighting against each of the 4 bosses. Um, by the time I had played, like maybe 5 runs, I had the first boss down to where I basically wasn't being damaged by her anymore. And then they switch up what that first boss actually does. So the first boss is Megara, and then she has 2 sisters. So you fight her multiple times. When you've beaten her multiple times, it'll switch it up and be like, oh well, it's not Meg this time; it's one of her sisters. And her sister basically does the same things but has slightly different moves. And I found
Mhm.
that kind of fun, where it would make these little changes to the bosses to 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 make every run not feel exactly the same. And I liked all of that about it. Um, yeah, I would get so frustrated by not being able to get through um, because I didn't find the things that I needed to like. So like I, I had a run one time where
Mhm.
I found a bunch of abilities that increased my damage for my weapon.
Okay.
So I was doing like somewhere close to 200 damage per hit, which meant I was just murdering enemies. Like most enemies have like some, especially in the early game, less than 200
Mhm.
health. And then once you get into the later levels or the later dungeon, um, they'll have like a little over 200, maybe 400, maybe 500. But like, so what it meant was that I was killing all the enemies really, really quickly, and that
Yeah.
felt great. But then the next time I tried to play, I found no increases to my damage at all. So I get past the first 2 bosses, and I'm into the harder areas of the game, and I'm doing like 25 damage, 30 damage to enemies that have, you know, 300 health. And it's like that's not fun. Like why am I being punished because I did not find the random thing that I needed to be able to increase my health when the game didn't give me the option to increase my damage? Why but the game didn't give me the option to increase my damage. Like
Yeah.
it's just those things are really really frustrating to me, you know? And that's been my problem with every other roguelike that I've played, but I think Hades actually handles it a little better than most of the others. Um,
Okay.
I feel like I've been rambling, but um, what I ended up doing was I beat so to get to the credits of this game, you have to beat the final boss 10 times. So you have to fully escape from the underworld 10 times. I beat the final boss of a run twice within like I don't know, maybe 20 runs or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the options, there's an option that they call God mode. It's essentially easy mode.
Okay.
And what that does is it every time you die from the time that you turn it on, it increases your defense by I think 2%.
Okay.
So you take slightly less damage, and that's it. That's all it does. Um, so I played through the rest of the game on easy mode.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
fine.
proved to myself. I proved to myself I could beat the game if I fucking wanted to on the normal mode. Um, and then I said, yeah, I'm not gonna.
But what's the point of beating the game 10 times? Why do they make you do that?
So the story of the game is that once you escape from the underworld the first time, you meet your mother, um, in the mortal realm,
Mm-hmm.
and so then, but like I said, Zagreus can't live among the mortals because he was
Mm-hmm.
born in Hades. So while he's there and he's trying to talk to his mother, he just dies. So then he's like, "Oh well, I have to get back and talk to her again."
Okay.
So then your drive to continue to play is, well, I have to get back to the surface to talk to her again.
Okay.
And Hades does not want you talking to her at all.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they got into a fight and split off fucking years ago. And there's a little bit of a twist to the story. I don't. Do you care if I like
No,
ruin
I
the
really
twist?
don't care.
Um. So essentially, the way that the story is told is that uh your mother, I think her name is Persephone. I think that's right. Yeah, that is right. So
Yep.
I'm just gonna call her that. If I'm wrong, somebody will correct me.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Persephone essentially tells you that Zagreus was stillborn, that your character was stillborn, and because of that, she ended up leaving the underworld because she was just too upset by that.
Okay.
And but then you were brought back to life by Nyx, who is the like god of the darkness or stars or something like that. She's one of like
Mm-hmm.
the primordial gods before the main Greek gods. So
Okay.
she's
Okay.
like much more powerful. Um, so you were essentially brought back to life, and now Hades doesn't want you to meet your mother because he's upset that she left.
Okay.
Um, and so you keep going back to the surface, and you talk to her, and you'll learn a little bit more about that story, and then uh, you get back and you're like, well, you know, my dad, Hades never told me that I was stillborn, and he never told me anything about you. And then she'll like tell you a little bit more about that story, and so you're essentially like trying to get her to come back to the underworld, and that's what you end up doing on the 10th run is you get her to come back to the underworld with
Okay.
you. Um, so like I said, they the story justifies the fact that this is a roguelike that you have to
Mm-hmm.
continuously try to escape, that you die when you get to the surface, but you're still trying to get to the surface. Um, and I think I, I you might be trying to get to Olympus on your first run because you're getting like the boons are essentially the
Mm-hmm.
messages from the gods on Olympus,
Okay.
and
Okay.
but you're not really talking to them. They're like just sending messages to you down in
Mm-hmm.
Hades. Um,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't know. Do you have it?
From a gameplay standpoint, that's I don't know if I would have it in me to beat the game 10 times. That sounds dumb. Like I've beaten the game, why do I have to prove that I can beat it like 8 other times? What's
Yeah,
the point?
yeah. That kind of irritated me. I know some other people have said the same thing where they're like, well, I've already beaten the final boss. Why do I have to do it again? And that's kind of how I felt, at least at first, about every boss. Uh, it's like I finally beat the first boss, on like my fifth run or whatever, and then got
Mm-hmm.
to the second part of the game. the second main dungeon, but then I die and I have to start over and I have to fight that first boss again. And it's like, why? Why do I have to fight this boss again? I've already beaten her. And it
Yeah.
just became an obstacle in my way that I felt like didn't need to be there.
At least, I mean, if I want to play devil's advocate, at least that first boss is like part of the journey. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't learn to bait it efficiently, you will always have trouble continuing the game because you will have less health and stuff. So at least you need to beat it right so you can get farther. Like, it's part of the of reaching the end. But once you reach the end, you're starting from scratch anyway. So yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Do you have any other questions about Hades? I feel like I've been rambling and maybe not been 100% clear, but
Yeah, but
I
I
don't
think
know.
most people know what it is
Yeah.
anyway, so I think the rambling is fine. But it seems like you're a bit torn. There are good ideas, good thing. Do you think you would maybe put this game higher if you just had stopped after beating it once? I don't know where you will
Yeah.
put it, but yeah.
Yeah. I think I would I would consider putting this game as an absolute banger if it wasn't a roguelike.
Okay.
If if all I had to do was get through these four worlds or these four main levels, and it was even if it was a little bit harder
Mhm.
and the bosses were a little bit harder, if I could just play through the level and then beat the boss and then never have to touch that boss again,
Mhm.
I would like this game a lot more because the combat in it, the combat system that they have is so fun. It is so much fun playing this game. And that's
Okay.
what made me want to keep playing it was that I was having a good time with the combat. And like I said, I enjoyed using all the different weapons. I just really wish that I could just play the levels and then be done with the levels. And once I beat a boss, I'd be done with the boss.
Yeah.
And I am kind of torn on where I want to put this. Um, and I've been thinking about it a lot.
I bet. I bet.
Um, I think I am going to put it in great games in
Oh.
our A tier
Mhm.
because I don't think it's as bad as other games that I would have put in This Is Fine.
Mhm.
Um,
And you still felt compelled to beat it 10 times.
I felt determined to beat it because I didn't feel like I could accurately judge this
Okay.
game if I didn't finish it.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and I felt like I needed to some extent, like actually finish one of these roguelikes so that I could
Mhm.
have a fuller understanding of what exactly I don't like about them and why I get so frustrated with them. And I feel
Yeah.
like Hades has done that. And it's just the fucking randomness, man. Like it's so frustrating losing a run because I didn't find the things that I needed to be able to get through it.
Yeah.
Like it's so annoying. Uh, I wish I liked this game more.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think I'm
I
being
get that.
generous putting it in the A.
Yeah. 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 Let's. I maybe let's move on before you change your mind.
Yeah.
All right. But before we move on, is this like your final like roguelike test for a while? Do do you think
um,
you will just like move on from trying roguelikes since you really didn't like that high praised game didn't really work anyway?
um, I don't think so entirely because Rob had gifted me FTL
Okay.
So I feel like I have to play that one. Like, he spent money on it. At some point, I'm going to have to play
Yeah.
it.
Okay, cool.
It also really confirms to me that every time I see a game, an indie game with roguelike in the description, or the roguelike tag on Steam or on the PlayStation Network, uh, it basically confirms that I'm going to just skip past every one of those
Yeah.
because
Well,
I don't want to do this again.
yeah, now you're sure. All
Yeah,
right. If okay, I'm gonna keep that in mind. If I ever see something that might be different enough, I might try to persuade you. But I I have a clear I think I have a clear vision of what you don't like in those games. So
yeah.
maybe we
I
can
think
find
that
a sweet spot in some day. In some game sometimes.
yeah. And so, one thing I want to mention also that I forgot to mention is that there are permanent upgrades that you can get. So one
Yeah.
of the currencies does allow you to buy permanent upgrades for yourself. Um, I did not find the majority of I found one of those upgrades particularly impactful, and that was the ability to revive if you died.
Okay.
Other than that, I did not find any of the others particularly worth my time. Like, I would use them because they're there, like, and there's no reason not to, right? But for the most part, I didn't find them very impactful, except for my ability to come back from the dead. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's a good game. I think it's not for me.
Yeah. That's fine. I hate. I also don't dislike some popular games. So we all do. We all do.
Yep, everybody does.
Cool. Well, I have one last game, and it's part of our list of games that we want to beat this year. I don't know if you remember, but we said that at the beginning of the year, and that's my second beat on that list, and it's Snake Pass.
Excellent.
Do, do you know
Congratulations.
what Snake Pass is?
It's a snake platformer, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a 3D platformer without jumping, basically.
Yep.
You need to learn how to slither as a snake to collect everything in little island levels. So it's a bit like Super Mario 64. You get in a level and you just have to slither around, get all the collectibles, and then reach the end. Each level has three different kind of collectibles. They have three gems that are the main collectibles that you need to get to finish the level. You get orbs that are kind of coins, like maybe more like the notes in Banjo Kazooie. So they are scattered around the level. Most of them are out in the open, and they are only there to guide you through the level and gives you a visual cue of where you've been and where you haven't. But some of those are also like hidden, and you have to look around for them. I will touch on that a little later. And the third collectibles are like uh, the star coins in the Mario games, the green stars, all of those. They are more difficult collectibles to get that are often hidden behind a more challenging section. And the controls are really non-intuitive. Well, they become intuitive, but they really invented a new way to control a character because the character is a snake, and you really move and think like a snake when you play this game. So you have to hold R to start moving forward, a bit like a car. But you cannot just hold R to go forward. You need to slither to actually go forward. If you only try to go forward, your snake will just stay in place. You can press A to move the head so you can go upstairs. And that's basically it. There's also the L button where you can like contract yourself to hold more tightly on poles and stuff, and you have a bird companion that can help you lift your tail. So if you're like your head is up on a ledge and you have trouble getting up that ledge, you can pull up your tail, and that will make you lighter, and you can actually finish climbing that ledge, basically. And I loved learning that those controls. It really makes you feel like you're having a new experience of a game that you've never played before. And it was a bit like that in the Get Tilted game that where last episode when we talked with to those developers, where at first it seems so weird having to control a flower pot and you have to learn all the angles and the distances and stuff. Well, that's the same thing. You really at first just moving around and climbing up a couple of poles is hard, but by the end of the game you just have so much confidence. You climb up poles, you go fast, and you really start doing tricks as your snake that you couldn't imagine at the beginning. There are 15 levels in the game, and that's where my gripes come in, is that every levels is way too freaking long. So like I said, there are three kind of collectibles, and if you just go straight for the gems and finish the levels, that's fine. But I play the game 100% because that's more fun like that. That's where the challenge comes in. But especially the orbs, those are really annoying because if you try to complete the game 100% in one go, a lot of those orbs will be hidden like just over a ledge or behind the scenery and stuff. So you cannot just move around and go from objective to objective. On every ledge that you go up, you have to stop, look around. Is there something behind the ledge? Is there something behind the pillar? Yes, no, then continue. So it makes those levels, especially in the back half, oversee their work on. It's like 30 minutes per level. Just some of those 30 minutes are because you're trying a hard challenge. That's fine. But like half of the time is just you looking around to be sure you didn't miss anything. And it's a bit on me, but at the same time, I didn't know. Once you've beaten the game, you get a power up that will give you snake vision that can help you find those missing collectibles. So I think I should have went with a bit more straightforward approach, beat the game, and then go back to clean up those collectibles. I think that would
Yeah.
have been better. But I didn't know. So I went into it. And like I said, since both the coins and the orbs are hidden in that way, that makes a lot of hidden collectibles per level. And that gets annoying. Also, another thing that's not boring, but a bit bad is that the look of the game never really changes. Like the second world, there's more water in it. The third level, there's a bit more fire in it, and the last level, there you get windy patches. But throughout the whole game, it just feels like you're playing in a jungle with bamboo sticks, and you. That's like the main mechanic. You climb up bamboo poles that are shaped like stairs or like cages and stuff. That's like the main mechanic of the game, but those bamboo poles never change throughout the 15 levels. So even in the last world when it's more difficult because there are more moving stuff and just more challenging sections, it's you could have put that at the second level and it wouldn't be jarring. Like it just gets more difficult, but there's not enough variety. But all that said, I had a great time with the game and I was compelled to finish all those levels. It's just not something that I would be able to play hours on end. It was better just doing one or two levels and then wait for another day to continue the game. It just, I really like short levels in my platforming and collectathons, and this was
Yeah.
pushing it. Yeah.
Did you find were the levels like longer than Banjo Kazooie or Banjo Tooie levels? Because those levels are pretty big.
Yeah, I don't think it's they're longer than Banjo-Tooie especially. Banjo-Kazooie can get pretty long too, but at the same time they're more big. They're way bigger levels. Like those levels in Snake Pass are fairly short but long at the same time. It's not really expensive. It's just more tedious, I would say.
Okay.
But yeah, I had a great time, and like I said, all of those tricks that you learn with the snakes are so satisfying. Like in those last levels, it's so awesome being able to play as that snake at a high pace and a high skill, because sometimes you really have to turn around bamboo sticks, go over an empty pit, grab the coin, and one thing that they do that I wish every platformer do is that once you've collected one of those secret coins, you actually have to come back to the checkpoint to save it. So if you don't manage to come back, you will lose that coin and you will have to do it again. That's something that annoys me in other games, because yes, the challenge is to get there, but if you just go get there and kill yourself because you've reached it feels a bit like cheating. But in this game, you
Right. Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
cheat. So that's something that I like. I'm sure other people don't agree, but for me, that's part of the challenge. Being able to save that collectible.
Okay.
And
All right.
yeah, that's mostly it. 15 levels. Play as a snake. I had a great time. Any questions about Snake Pass before I put it on the tier list?
No, I just want to know where you're going to put it.
I think I'm gonna put it in great games.
Okay.
Once again, it's maybe a bit more between This Is Fine and Great Games, but if I had to pick between the two, I think I had more fun with Snake Pass than I did not. Uh, like I forced myself to play it 100%. I could have easily just skipped that requirement and just
Mhm.
go for the beat, and I would have maybe a bit more fun. So maybe that's on me. But yeah, I still have like two little comments about the game. The game ends on a cliffhanger that I was confused, because there's not a lot of story in the game. You just get there and you collect some stuff, and in the end, you learn that it's because a bird from another world just wreak havoc because that bird was trying to get back to its world. And
Okay.
you beat the game. There's the credits, and then you see the bird came back. Say, "Oh, by the way, I need more help." And I was like, "Oh, is there a post game? What's happening? What do you mean you need help?" So I was searching for a new option, a new end level or something. Nothing. So from what I got, it's just like a teaser for a sequel that we never got, because the game is like 7 years old at this point, and there's nothing in sight. So I don't know what's happening with that. So that was confusing. And speaking of sequel, I think this game maybe wasn't in the right genre. Like I said in the last episode with the Gale Tilted devs, I think if this game would come out today, like a sequel, but it was like a rage game and not level based, just take your snake and try to climb a big tower, I think it would do fairly well, especially in streaming and stuff with the
Okay.
post only up world that we are now. I think this game could get a lot of traction if its sequel was more rage game and less 3D platformer. So yeah,
Okay.
that's something I'm throwing out there. I'm sure nobody will pick that up, but I think there's more to do with this kind of control scheme. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds interesting. It's one that I've always, heard of, and I've heard some other people talk about it. And it's always been in the back of my mind is I should probably try this at some point, but haven't
Yeah.
gotten around to it. Doubt I
It,
will anytime
yeah,
soon.
it's a fun time. It's a fun time. Don't go for 100%. That's what I would say. Just try to beat the game and see how you feel about cleaning it up afterwards.
Okay. Since you mentioned it, and we are almost at the end of March, do you want to
Yeah,
take a look at our challenge of 25 games for the year?
yeah.
You
Yeah, do
said
you
you've
want to go
beaten.
first? Oh yeah, I can start since I've yeah. So I've beaten
Yeah, go
two
ahead.
games on my list so far: Dark Souls Remastered and Snake Pass, and both are in my left column. So in that left column, I have Nico de Rico, which is like a banjo, not a banjo, Donkey Kong Country inspired 3D platformer. Uh, well, 2D and 3D platformer. It's like Crash Bandicoot and Donkey Kong Country, depending on the section. And I think it's free with the Amazon Luma live streaming game service thing. So maybe I could go for this one and try to continue my left column because I love Donkey Kong Country and I'm really interested in that game. But from what I've heard from our friend Top Spot, this it seems like those levels are really long. Like
Yeah.
I checked, he live streamed it, and it feels like the first level was like half an hour or something, and
Oh wow.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Like a 2D platformer, you should have just a couple minutes level, especially if you have like secrets and stuff. Like going through 30 minutes of level trying to find that last collectible, that's just horrible. And
Yeah.
so I'm really interested in the genre, but I don't think I will 100% it because that sounds like a pain. But I think that will be my next game for my challenge.
Okay. As for me, I've only beaten one of the games that I have on this list, and that was Spec Ops: The Line, which I
Mm-hmm.
played very early this year. I had put it on the list because I was really wanting to play it, and that got to me really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm looking at this, and I thought for sure I had put Castlevania
Lords
Lords
of
of
Shadows.
Shadow
Mm-hmm.
on my list, and I didn't. I put Portrait of Ruin on my list
Oh.
here. Um, which is one of the DS games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I misremembered which Castlevania I said I was going to
Mm-hmm.
play this year. That's fine.
Yeah.
I've owned Lords of Shadow for a while. It's just been sitting on the shelf with all the other PS3 games for a couple of years. So it's good that I've gone ahead and at least started it. And hopefully I'll finish it soon if I can get the motivation to get back into it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's Spec Ops is the only one that I've played. I've not started any of these other games. I almost played Signalis for our
Mm-hmm.
last episode that we did with Pam, because the main character is a woman. And I just didn't get around to it. I ended up playing other random shit instead.
Okay. Okay.
So I think I think I need to take a look at this list and try and focus down on a few of these games that I do want to
Yeah.
play. So like a couple of them I'm not going to play until later in the year. I got a couple horror games on here like Deadly Premonition. Lost Planet is kind of horror-ish. Not
Okay.
really. It's more of a third-person shooter. But either way, Deadly Premonition is kind of horror-like. So that probably won't get played until October. Signalis might not get played until October because that is
Mm-hmm.
a survival horror game. But yeah, I should probably focus on a few of these a little bit
Yeah.
sooner rather than later.
I would really need a controller for my iPhone because now I take the bus like 4 times since I have my new job. So I play mobile games on my phone, but a lot of the games that I want to play are I could play on my phone, but uh, they're not viable with touch controls. So I I would really need a controller so I could kick some of those out easily while I'm doing my work transit.
Why don't you can get one of like those 8-bit Doe controllers that has the like phone clip up on the top. That way it's
Yeah,
just all in the same thing. I mean
yeah, that's probably what I should do. Yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking of getting a backbone, but from what I've read, that you need a subscription to actually use the phone, the thing or something. So that yeah, I don't
I don't
know.
know
It
anything
felt
about
weird.
those.
It felt weird. So yeah, but yeah, you're right. I should just get the clip and have it. I've backed another controller that will do that. at some point, but I don't know when that will reach my hands. So
Okay. Well, excellent. We don't have any other games to talk about, yeah? We're good? Put everything
yeah,
on the tier
we're
list?
good. That's the tier list for today. Nothing in the this is fine category. A first.
Yeah, I think that is a first.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to hobby time. And Max, I'll go ahead and go first. A few episodes ago, I was talking about I was getting a new D&D campaign prepared,
Mm-hmm.
and I've started DMing that campaign.
Yep.
So uh, I think I mentioned it before when I was talking about it last, but essentially the way my group plays is that we rotate who is DMing so that everybody within the group has a chance to play as well as a chance
Mm-hmm.
to DM. So it is back up on my rotation to run the game for a little while, and I ran my first session of that, and essentially, so what ended up happening was my players, um, we hadn't been in like a major town or settlement or anything for a while, so they did some shopping and bought some new gear, sold some stuff that they had gotten from previous encounters, and then uh, essentially what I had happen was I had my character get kidnapped, and their
Oh,
quest is to go
okay.
and rescue my character. So
Oh.
I actually I made a note where I took a sheet of like um, artist paper, so like some thicker, heavy gauge paper, and I painted on it like the in scribbles the note and like put some blood splatter with paint on it, and then I soaked it in coffee so it looked all stained and
Mm-hmm.
old, and then wrinkled it up and gave that to them as like this note that was uh, given to their characters, saying,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, this player was my character's name is Neve. Uh, she was kidnapped, and you need to bring 250,000 gold to this place in this other town." So they're trying to figure out how they're going to either get that money or find another way to save my character right now. And they have started their travels, and they ran into an encounter with some creatures that they will have to fight next time because we didn't have enough time to get into that encounter. So
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet.
it was fun, good time.
Yeah. Do you think
That
you
that
have you have how many more sessions before they get you out?
that's kind of up in the air right now. It depends on the choices that they end up making. Because they'll have it's going to really depend on what they do. So the intent is for it to be around 5 sessions long. It could be less
Yeah.
uh, if they do some things. Um, it could be more. It's going to depend. So we'll see. But I'll keep you up to date on how that continues to go.
Awesome. Love it.
But that's
For
it for
me,
me. That's all
yeah.
my hobby has been.
Yeah. Well, that and do going on the road, getting a
Oh
car.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I wouldn't call a road trip hobby. That was us having to go
Yeah.
and buy a car.
Yeah. 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 All right. So on my end, last episode I was talking about I was how I was doing thumbnails for my video, and that video is I've added all my English subs, so I will release that video like tomorrow. Tomorrow from the date that you're listening to this podcast, if you're listening it on the first day. So
Okay.
on the like the 25th of March, I will release the video. Touching some wood. I don't know why I'm getting stressed out about this one. I just wish this video can get some traction. I haven't like felt that way in a long time. I'm just really proud of that video.
Right.
But that brings me to the fact that I'm in the Discord of Freezax. I shouted him out a while ago about his video in Japan, traveling through towns, trying to make like the journey of all the towns that inspired the towns from the first Pokemon game. and he reopened his Discord basically to his fans. So I went to the Discord and started talking to him, and he's asking for critique for his thumbnails and stuff. So he sent one, and I just went ahead and redesigned his uh, his thumbnail with some suggestions and stuff. And then he asked me if I could make like a second one, just because he saw what I did on my channel and he really liked it. And he's not especially good at thumbnails. That's something that he even says. So I just took 1 hour from work when I was having lunch and did the thumbnail of his last video, and I think it turned out great. And I should be doing more of his thumbnails like once a month or something when he releases bigger videos. So that's been fun, like just
Cool.
helping other people. I love what he does, and I'm glad that I can help. If he's not getting the amount of views that he should be getting, like his videos are really well made, but yeah, it's an older channel and he has to regain all that YouTube creds that he lost over the years.
Mhm.
And
Cool.
I've also been doing some work in my yard. I don't know if I can call that a hobby, but my dog, because I have um I think I forgot the name, but my my yard, my I have fences. Yeah, so I have fences on 3 sides of my yard, but the last side is a hedge, and my dog started going through the hedge into the yard of my neighbors, because he
Oh,
is a dog and the snow is melting, so he can see all the spots. So I got some black gardening underside stuff, like black paper that you can put under your garden, so it stays moist.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I got like a roll of that, cut that out, and I've uh nailed that stuff between the trunks of my hedge, so that my dog won't leave my yard. And so far, it seems to have worked. So that's something that I kind of tried to do last year, but I didn't use like the right materials and stuff. So we just did like really poor fence that just fell off during the winter. So this year I will try to just block off the middle of my hedge throughout the yard so that my dog won't run away. But yeah, I'm hopeful that this will actually work, and I'm doing what I can to keep my dog safe.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And like you probably could put up a fence even if it was just like a small 3 foot fence, but like fencing is not cheap. So I
Yeah,
understand.
exactly. That's why we didn't put a fence there at first, because we didn't think it would run through the hedge. But yeah, it's it gets expensive just for a couple of poles and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. I redid part of the fence a couple of years ago and well I ended up getting all the like the fence slats for free from a friend who like took down a fence that was in his backyard, but
Oh,
if
cool,
I
cool.
didn't do that, I would have ended up spending several $100s to
Yeah,
replace
exactly.
one side of the fence. Uh, so yeah, I completely understand.
Yeah. Cool. But that's
But all right,
that's been my hobbies. Yeah.
cool, excellent. Not a whole lot of hobby this time around. Not a whole lot to talk about, but that's perfectly fine. Let's
Yeah.
move into our loot box. And I have a few things. I have two actual videos, and then I'm gonna tell a small story on the third one that I have here.
Okay.
Um, but the first video is from somebody called Malcolm Guite. Guite, maybe that's how you pronounce it. I don't know, Guite.
That sounds
Uh,
that sounds about right.
okay. He is apparently a like a published author and poet. But his YouTube channel is him just talking about literature and stuff. I
Okay.
found his video. Somebody in the Discord had posted a picture of him. I think it's like a meme, and it was him talking about something about Lord of the Rings. And so the specific video that I want to shout out is his video called "Who is Tom Bombadil?" I've been watching a bunch of this guy's videos where he'll like read some passages from Lord of the Rings and then just kind of pontificate about it. And he's just this old guy old white guy with a big beard and he's smoking a pipe and it's fun listening to him talk about
Yeah.
like Lord of
Just a
the Rings and
passionate dude doing passionate stuff on YouTube.
yeah. Um I've watched some of his other stuff, but his other videos that aren't about Lord of the Rings are about like stuff that I've never read, and like it's still interesting, but it's obviously more interesting to hear him talk about something that I actually have some understanding of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So good stuff. I'm enjoying that. And then second video I want to shout out is a channel that I found recently called NV Ranger and Co. Um, so this guy is doing something kind of similar to Any Austin,
Yep.
and he's doing is these videos specifically about Bethesda games. So like Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4, and Skyrim are the vast majority of his videos. And this one specifically is following the roads beyond Fallout 4's borders. And what he is doing is, since the map of Fallout 4 is based on the real life city of Washington D.C., he is comparing where the roads that lead out of the map. He's taking those roads and comparing them to a real life map of Washington D.C. and trying to determine what those roads actually are if they were the real roads in the real world, and just kind of trying to triangulate because they obviously changed things about the map and where things were actually located within the city, so that wasn't like true crime where they tried to remake an entire actual city, but everything was empty and dead. Uh,
Mhm.
so I've really been enjoying his videos, and the one of the things that I like about his videos is that the way he presents them is that like he is working for the company called NV Ranger and Co., which is New Vegas Ranger and Co., which he is the ranger and Co is like his little robot that hangs out with him, and he's basically
Okay.
like, oh, so he presents it as like a little vignette where he'll like have the game modded where like his character is sitting there and he has another character sitting there and doing panning camera shots and whatever, and he's like, oh, this person's hired me to scout this area of the New Vegas wasteland or of the Commonwealth wasteland, or go to this other world of Skyrim and scout out like what town is the most profitable or what town is the best town to live in where you're not going to be attacked. So the way he presents it is a little bit different, and that's what I really enjoyed about it.
Cool. That sounds really fun. I will surely check that out.
Excellent. And then this last thing that I have here. The channel's name is I Am Daniel Graves. Daniel Graves is the frontman of one of my favorite industrial bands, Aesthetic Perfection.
Okay.
Um, he put out a thing where essentially what he said was that his first debut album, which was Close to Human, that came out in 2005, which is how I found him around that time, probably 2005, 2006. I found that album. Um, he lost the original masters for that entire album and for the like demo album that he had released prior to that.
Okay.
And so he is re-releasing and remastering and basically remaking all of that album, and he's slowly working on re-releasing it and calling it Closer to Human. And this song that I've linked here is a song called Beautiful, which I had never heard before, but was originally on that demo album that he had done before his first full length studio album. And it's just a remake of that original song. It's really, really good. I love this guy's music. I love synth heavy industrial music, and he does some of the best of that, in my opinion.
Wow, so cool.
So
That's great. That
as
sounds like a really fun project.
yeah, yeah, should be a good time. When that album comes out, I'll probably shout out that full album because it's Close to Human is a really, really good album. So
Cool. Can't
enjoy it.
wait.
What about you?
For
What
my
do you got for us?
yeah, for my shoutouts, my first one, you've also watched it. I think he kind of popped off on YouTube and just got recommended to everybody. It's ADN, and his video is I've never played Dark Souls. I tried to beat it in a day, and well, one, I've been really watching a lot of Dark Souls content in the past few months. I've been really enjoying that, and challenge in itself is super interesting. Like he really just took 24 hours, 24 straight hours, and he tries to beat Dark Souls, and it doesn't really go. It doesn't go really well. He doesn't
Does not
use
go well.
any guides and stuff, so he's making a bunch of mistakes and just not following the right road. And I think just the stress and the toll of doing that in 24 straight hour really made him just do a bunch of silly mistakes.
Yep.
But on top of that, the editing and the way that this challenge is presented is just fantastic. I've never seen anyone go this deep into the presentation of a challenge video. Like one of the great examples is in when he fights the Taurus demon on the bridge. He just modded the game and did like a um silly section when he's running away and the Taurus demon is running towards him, and then it's like a Benny Hill situation but in
Uh-huh.
Dark Souls, and he does those kinds of situations a couple of times in the video, and I'm really impressed. I'm not sure. I wouldn't know how to do this. I wouldn't have the patience to do this, but the level of editing and energy in his videos are just insane. That's
Yes.
one of the best channels I've found in a while. That's just amazing. I watch his roguelike challenge video where he gives himself one life in like 5 different roguelikes to beat the game. It's like the challenge is basically, can I beat a roguelike on my first run? And that challenge is also pretty insane with everything. So yeah, ADN, if I had to put it in a tier list, it would be an absolute banger. What a YouTuber. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I was just looking back through some of our sheets because there was a video that I had shouted out several episodes ago where the presenter of that channel does something similar where he mods his
Okay.
character into games.
Yeah.
And I believe, let me double check. I think I have it here. Um, yes, I did find it. It was the channel Gold Stuff. And I shouted out his video a while back. It was Can you beat Raph without a Raph? And he did the same
Oh,
thing where he mods his character into the game or his avatar into the games and is like animating it uh in
oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
presentation of his YouTube video.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I will add it to my watch later right now. I think I forgot the last time.
Oh yeah, that's
Boom.
yeah. I couldn't remember his name because he hadn't published another video yet. So
Okay.
anyway,
It's gonna be a big one, I guess.
yeah,
And my second shout out is called JuxtOpposed. She's a designer, and all her videos are her trying to redesign popular apps, like popular web apps. Like one of her videos, she just took like Spotify and tried to fix all the dumb decisions that are on Spotify that makes the app barely usable. And like often those decisions are just about money, just putting more ads and stuff, but she's hopeful and she does all those redesigns in the hope of making something really better. And most of the time, it's just amazing how a couple changes really elevates all the UIs that we use on a day-to-day basis. And her latest video was I designed your goofiest UI ideas. She just put up like a post, I think, on Twitter or something, and she took some of those responses and designed them. And like the first one, she redesigned the Microsoft Outlook app to use the same UI as Skyrim. So all the emails are written in the same font with the same like item menu on the left, and it's done, but it looks so good. She also designed like the worst logging system of all time, where you have to you have like 20 different steps before logging in, and the last step is just beating a snake mini game. And like that video is it's fast paced. There's just a lot of dumb things, and I think it's really interesting. And she always do like really clean stuff. I love her designs, and it's a fun channel to watch.
Cool. Awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. We would move into emails, but we don't have any emails today.
Mm-hmm.
But if you would like to reach out to us with any questions, comments, or topics of discussion, you can email us at thetrashstation@gmail.com.
And we would also like to thank Heath Aldrich for our intro and outro music. You can find a link to all of his music on his Bandcamp page at heathaldrich.bandcamp.com.
And we would also like to thank RainbowSavvyDesigns for our logo. Both of their links and works both of the links to their works will be available in the show notes. And you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/scotchandhobbies. I usually stream every Monday and Wednesday around 5 or 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can also find me on socials at scotchandhobbies.
And if you want to play some of my games, you can check my itch.io page at itch.io/Potomax. And I think that's wrong. I think I've been saying that, and yeah, I've said that like 2 weeks for like 14 episodes, and that's not the right link. It's potomax.itch.io. So I will fix that. So it's potomax.itch.io. Anyway, it's potomax on itch.io. And if you want to see what I'm playing, I'm also on Blusky at Potomax. And if you speak French, I have a ton of videos on the good old YouTube at youtube.com/jeuxbière.
Excellent. And you can follow the podcast on Blue Sky and like, rate, review, all that stuff. Always helps out.
Exactly.
And Max, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun once again. Have a good one, Chris.
You too. I'll see you next time.